If the trailer wasn't already full of a number of DEI flags, from how they populated MI6 to the fact that James Bond didn't even get to introduce himself with his iconic line, we now have information from IO Interactive that the reason why they chose to make James Bond a young James Bond, to be specific, 26 years old, is because they wanted him to be more relatable to a so-called younger audience that they are trying to appeal to. Roll this up over at phantompulse.com. Find the link in the description below. This is your go-to place to find all of the best culture war news on the internet. I only do 2 videos a day, but I'm writing around 6 to 7 articles on top of what my co-owner John Delarose is also writing. He writes around 3 to 4 articles a day. So lots of content every single day over on phantompulse.com, and only bringing about 2 of them to you every day. So definitely want to head on over and become a subscriber. So let's get into this right here. IO Interactive Senior Communication Manager Jan Roskel revealed that the game's Bond is 26 years old. In a blog post on the PlayStation blog site, Roskel wrote this: "This is Bond as you've never seen him before. The youngest Bond fans have ever met. In 007 First Light, at only 26 years old, he isn't the fully fledged 007 you know from the Tux and Martini days, but a man with sharp instincts, sometimes reckless, who is still learning when to fight, when to bluff, and when to disappear into the shadows." This is typical Hollywood nonsense that we see time and time and time again. If you've been watching this channel for any time, you know I'm always critiquing this, complaining about it, whatever you want to call it, is the fact that they have to have their character arcs. They can't have characters that are static when it comes to their character arcs, right? Instead of having external things to overcome, they have to somehow overcome internal measures and grow internally. And this is exactly what this sounds like to me. Can't stand this trend, and it usually ends up in disaster for the companies that try to embrace it, because they're always trying to do it with characters like James Bond, like the Punisher, like Batman, characters that don't need character arcs whatsoever. They need external threats to overcome, not any kind of like internal character growth. Anyways, Rascal went on and said, in 007 First Light, Bond starts as a Navy air crewman when, against all odds, an audacious act of bravery propels him on MI6's most challenging training program. This training, coupled with his natural instinct, wits, and heart, will see him grow into a fully fledged spy. It's a completely original standalone story developed in collaboration with Amazon MGM Studios. As for why IO Interactive chose to make an origin story with a young Bond, Games Radar's Ali Jones reports this: 007 First Light devs chose an origin story in part because it allowed for a more relatable Bond for the potentially younger audience than might turn out for the films. And they obviously had some quotes there from 007 franchise director Jonathan LaCale, I'm not sure how to say his name, who, interestingly enough, was most recently a product director on Ubisoft's Star Wars Outlaws game. And we know how well that turned out. He was also previously the studio brand director for Hitman Blood Money Reprisal, which, from what I saw, is a Apple mobile game. Anyways, this is what he told them. He says, "We have a story to tell that people are probably very curious to find out. Not me, not interested. What are the events and the people that shaped the character James Bond is today? Was he always the womanizer that he is, or the strong man that he is?" LaSalle also reiterated Bond's youth means he won't be acting like James Bond. It's James Bond where he's not actually James Bond. You just can't make this stuff up, right? We see this time and time and time again. And he says there's a lot of youth in him, so maybe some recklessness at times, and he has a lot of charm, but he doesn't know how to use it yet. He's maybe not as efficient as a later Bond would be. LaSalle went on to reveal that this younger Bond in an origin story means that they are targeting a younger audience, maybe than the Bond franchise is used to. He added that it's a new story to tell and also a story that would connect really well. I think this is a bunch of BS. I mean, we've seen James Bond video games before. GoldenEye, obviously one of the more iconic ones. Pretty sure you weren't having some kind of older audience playing that game. It was kids and teenagers playing James Bond because you didn't need to make James Bond some younger version of himself to appeal to teenagers and people in like their early 20s for the GoldenEye game. They didn't have to do that. For some reason, they're saying that they have to do that now. It's just utterly ridiculous, makes no sense. And at the end of the day, it really is part of this kind of representation ideology that is a branch of the woke ideology, and it's just a despicable ideology, in my opinion. because it discredits the character too, right? It discredits Ian Fleming's work. It discredits like the mystique around the character, etc. That you have to somehow make the character like the audience that you want to sell it to. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Furthermore, he indicated that because they are not adapting any of Ian Fleming's books or any of the films, it allows the team freedom to do what they want. Specifically, he said the game is, quote, is not an adaptation or anything, but that's what will allow us to make a great game, because then we have a lot of freedom that will fit with the gameplay mechanics. So are they even making a James Bond game, or is this just Hitman with a James Bond skin over top of it? I know lots of people would like that. I think Razorfist has even pointed out that there's a reason why Hitman is still around, because it's basically the only AAA stealth game that it's actually providing that experience. No one else is really doing that anymore. But why not just make another Hitman game? Do we really need a Hitman game with a James Bond skin over top of it? I think there is something to the fact that we won't have that James Bond soul to it. And I think customers, gamers, players, audiences, whatever, they sniff this stuff out. They see that it is indeed inauthentic, and they quickly reject it. And everything I'm seeing from this is that this game was not made in any kind of authentic manner. It sounds like it was kind of hashed together in some kind of marketing room where it's like, look, we're not appealing to 20-year-olds anymore. We need to make a James Bond game so we can appeal to 20-year-olds now. So let's do that. And then in order to do that, we need to make James Bond younger. And so that's what we're going to do. And so when that's how you're starting out, which is everything I'm getting from this game, that's how you absolutely fail. When you listen to the masters of whatever kind of medium that they are a master of, someone like J.R.R. Tolkien, etc., even C.S. Lewis, they usually talk about how their story ideas come to them in kind of images. C.S. Lewis specifically was inspired to write the Chronicles of Narnia because he had this image of a lion, and then he started kind of piecing all of the images that he had come together into a story, and it's obviously now one of the most beloved stories of all time. And that's usually how it comes together. It doesn't come together in some kind of marketing department. Usually, I think we see that that doesn't work. That doesn't work. You might get some short-term gains from that. We saw that with Star Wars, especially with like the Force Awakens. Obviously, massive return to the box office for when that came out. But as people quickly realized that it was just a soulless project, the box office returns plummeted. They plummeted. Massive declines over each subsequent release, and they even saw a film, Solo, a Star Wars story, lose money at the box office. So you might get some short-term gains, but long-term, you end up killing the brand. And we've already seen them kill James Bond, so killing the brand might just be the next step that IO Interactive wanted to get their knife in on that. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.
Why would you be afraid of the people? Why are you not afraid of God instead of man?